Has Hollywood killed Christmas movies? Yeah, I think they have. Hey guys, Society Reviews here, and I'm thanking you for joining me for the first edition of the 511 Show. Why is it called the 511 Show? Well, Ephesians 5:11 says, "Have no fellowship with unfruitful works of darkness, rather expose them." And I think a perfect topic to really start this show and get the wheels going here is the topic of Christmas movies in Hollywood. And it really feels like over the last few years, Hollywood has gone out of its way to really spite what the holiday season used to be about. I mean, for anybody who has worked at a movie theater or has experience with movie theaters, Christmas Day is supposed to be arguably the biggest day of the entire year for families to come out and watch holiday movies that you can watch with the entire family. And if you look back at the last 5 years specifically, even though you can honestly go back the last couple of decades, Hollywood's not really making movies that the whole family can enjoy anymore. As a matter of fact, they're making some very, very dark and sinister and twisted movies in movie theaters, a lot of them disguising themselves as Christmas films. So we got this article here from Bounding into Comics. Our good buddy Kevin Gareta actually wrote this one. Go check it out on your own time. Read the whole thing. Check out our Bounding into Comics website as well. We got a lot of great articles here, but this one was very, very interesting. I gotta give him kudos here because the statement here is very clear. Red One and its ilk are the reason that no one takes Christmas movies seriously anymore. And when you look into this article and when he's talking about the arguments he's making, it's really, really difficult to disagree with anything that he's saying here. This photo that you guys see right here is a photo from the film Red One. It is a movie that came out about a month ago, a little over a month ago. It stars The Rock, Chris Evans, and it didn't do very well. It wasn't a very interesting movie. The whole concept here is that Santa Claus has been kidnapped, and The Rock, who's a bodyguard elf, and Chris Evans has to go search him and bring him back. But so when you look at it at face value, you think to yourself, oh, okay, it's a Christmas movie. It's about Santa Claus. It's about, the holidays. You got snow and cookies. So I'll go take the whole family to go watch this. Well, I did a review of this movie a while back ago. Go check that out on the YouTube page. And this is not really a Christmas movie, especially a Christmas movie that you would take the family to go see. This is not something that I would recommend to children. Very, very odd how this is more of a pagan movie than it is a Christian movie. I mean, the whole concept of the story revolves around Krampus. You see Krampus here, and then the film, Krampus plays the brother of Santa Claus. You're like, who is Krampus? Krampus is, like I said, came from pagan origins, specifically in Europe. But the whole concept is that Krampus punishes the bad children who don't do good throughout the course of the year. So it's not enough that they just get a lump of coal for Christmas because they were bad. It's like, no, they have to be punished. That's what the bad children go. And it was a very, very odd concept here. Another thing in this movie as well, there's also, I guess, the big bad guy or bad girl, if I guess you want to say that, in this film is also a witch, and that plays into a lot of pagan mythology as well. And if you were to go and watch the trailer for this movie, or even if you just watch the poster, all of that is completely hidden from you, right? So you go to see the poster, you just see The Rock, you see J.K. Simmons and Santa Claus and a giant polar bear. You think, okay, it's a Christmas movie. I ain't gonna go watch this. And then you watch the content of the film, and it's like, this is way, way darker than something that I would have wanted to go take my kids to go see. Did not do well at the box office. It had a box office budget, a production budget, I should say, of $250 million. Only made $147 million before going to Amazon Prime. So it was not a box office success by any stretch of the imagination. However, this has led to a different conversation, or a conversation, I should say, that is like, is Hollywood intentionally making movies to spite Christmas? Is this where we're going now with these films? It was also another film that a lot of people had a lot of questions about. A lot of people felt very, very uncomfortable about this holiday season. It's this film called Dear Santa. Now, that's the name of the movie. The name of the movie is called Dear Santa. However, it stars Jack Black, and the whole concept of this film is that, well, a little kid tries to write a letter to Santa Claus. He accidentally misspells Santa's name and spells Satan. So Jack Black, who plays Satan in the movie, is trying to essentially steal this child's soul and it becomes like this weird buddy relationship movie where Satan is trying to look out after this little kid, as if they're trying to make it seem like Satan isn't really that bad of a guy deep down. He loves the kids as well, and it's like, what kind of perversion are we doing here in Hollywood making movies like this? And keep in mind, this isn't movies. These are the type of movies that Hollywood wants you to go spend your hard-earned money, especially in this economy, to go watch with your family, with your children. And this is just not what Christmas is all about, right? Like, when people think of Christmas movies, there's obviously a lot of big time Christmas classics out there. You think of movies like Home Alone, you think of Uncle Buck, you think of Elf, you think of Jingle All the Way, The Santa Claus. Like, those type of films are what you think about in the Hollywood year. But over the last, I'd say 10 years, it's definitely been a lot more noticeable, but it goes back even further than this. We're starting to make a different breed of movies around this time of year that are not family friendly and really have absolutely nothing to do about Christmas whatsoever. This is a screenshot here from a movie from 2015 entitled Krampus. I explained to you guys what Krampus is. It was a horror movie that was released around the holiday season, and that's another trend that I've noticed too. We're starting to release a lot more horror movies during the Christmas time of year. Like, I thought horror was supposed to be like October, like around Halloween, but now we're releasing them during Christmas as well. It's like, why exactly are we doing that? There's a movie called Violent Night a couple of years ago that you guys may have seen, where Santa Claus is basically murdering a bunch of mobsters, violently murdering a bunch of mobsters too. Very, very brutal film. And this is what's supposed to be our quote unquote Christmas movies. There was another movie which I actually enjoyed, but it does go in the same line here, called Silent Night, about a guy whose child was murdered, brutally gunned down by gang members. He basically goes like full Frank Castle on him and goes out for revenge, bloodthirsty, over the top. And we're at this point here where people are like, okay, well, what happened to, like I said, the Christmas stories, the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Home Alones, the Jingle All the Way? Like, I can't take my children to go see these films, especially when some of these films are extremely subversive. Like, you're trying to, like I said, with Red One, it's like you're making it seem like it's a holiday fun movie with a bunch of notable faces, and then all of a sudden there's like demons and witches and a whole bunch of occult stuff in this movie. It's like, what are you guys trying to do here? Same thing with Dear Santa. Why are we trying to make a movie that kind of reimagines Satan as a de facto good guy or the protagonist in this movie? Like, why are we doing things like that? And a lot of people are starting to have a lot of questions about the movies that come out in our entertainment system. And if you look at it from the perspective of this year, it doesn't get much better. And it also seems to be a trend of something very, very uncomfortable going on here. So in 2025, these are movies that are out right now, if you guys want to check them out. But these were the movies that were released during Christmas. So this is, again, the biggest time of the year where everyone has the holiday off. You're going to go out there. You're going to go watch these films with your family. Everyone's going to have a good time. And what is available for you? What is the marquee ticket that you want to go see? Well, this is a Robert Eggers gothic horror movie, Nosferatu, based off of the 1922 silent film. Obviously, there's been several remakes and novels inspired by this movie, but this is a horror film. This is not a Christmas movie. It's a 2-hour horror film that was being promoted and being marketed as one of the most horrific things, the scariest films of the year. And it's like, is this the film that you want to go take your kids to? Especially considering the fact that tickets ain't cheap this day, Jack. I don't know if you know this, but tickets are very, very expensive these days to go see movies like this. It's like, is this really the one that you want? Is this the one that's going to put the butts in the seats? Is that what's going to happen here? I don't think so. I don't think that that's what audiences want. But if you look at some other films, it's like, okay, well, what else is there for my family to watch if I don't want to watch this movie? Is there something else out there that's worthwhile? Well, you have other films that really, I guess, great choices, you can say. You do have A Complete Unknown, which is a movie about Bob Dylan starring Timothy Chalamet. So if you want to watch a Bob Dylan biopic, you can go watch that. You have The Fire Inside, which is a movie about the life of Carissa Shields, who is a female boxer. Not too many people are going to be familiar with her and her story, but I guess that is something you may want to watch. Question mark, question mark. What about Better Man? What about Better Man, which is the life story of British pop singer Robbie Williams, but the entire movie he's portrayed as a chimpanzee in CGI. You're like, okay. Or how about this movie entitled Baby Girl? This is a movie that is going to get award consideration right now. This is one that is talked about in the Golden Globes. It may even get nominated for an Oscar. And like, what is this film about? This film is about a CEO of a tech company played by Nicole Kidman, who, because she's dissatisfied with her sex life with her husband, decides to have a long-standing affair with one of her workers at her company. It ends up devolving into a giant soap opera mess, right? It's an erotic thriller. You think to yourself, is it this what Christmas is about? Is this these are the movies that are being released during Christmas. This is the movies that it's like, okay, we got everyone off of work, off of school. This is the movie that they're gonna go watch. You're like, really? This is what we're doing now? Is this really what it is? And if you look back at the last few years, it hasn't particularly gotten much better. These movies that have been released during this time period, I believe last year, the big movie that was released during Christmas was The Color Purple. And if you don't know the story of The Color Purple, it's literally about a woman who was sexually abused, physically abused for a number of years, separated from her sister. Basically, it's a movie where every single man in her life for a point of like 60 years is all just a terrible human being. It's like, Christmas movie. That's something that people are gonna want to go watch during the holidays, right? Let's go back even further. 2022 here. Remember there was a film called Babylon, which was a horrific box office bomb. Did not do well at all. Only made $65 million on an $80 million budget, but it was a 3-hour movie that was literally supposed to be celebrating the industry of Hollywood by highlighting the 100-year degeneracy of Hollywood. And you literally, in the first 10 minutes of the film, you're having like this giant orgy party in a giant mansion where people are literally getting peed on by prostitutes. And you're like, this is 10 minutes into a 3-hour movie. And somehow this is supposed to be a celebration of Hollywood. And it just so happens to be named Babylon, which, because, hey, this is the 511 show, let me just put it to you this way. If you've ever read your Bible ever in your life, the Bible says absolutely nothing positive about Babylon whatsoever. Babylon is probably a city, the most recognizable city that would be considered an absolute enemy of God from his existence to his destruction. And that's what Hollywood decided to dedicate a 3-hour film to, that they released 2 years ago on Christmas. This is what we're doing here. So if you're looking for that traditional, Christmas movie, the question is like, wow, where do I find it? Where do I find that, old school movie? Well, unfortunately, because of where we're at right now, you're probably going to have to dust off like a VHS or an old DVD if you want a true, genuine Christmas movie, because Hollywood doesn't seem to be very interested in making them. Now, it's not to say that they're not being made at all. You do have a few good ones. Earlier this month, or I guess last month, because we are at New Year's, but a while back ago, you did have a film that was called The Greatest Christmas Pageant Ever, and it was actually a pretty solid film, a film about a group of very, very troubled kids who were basically being little menaces to society, but they get so caught up in the story about the birth of Jesus that they want to go out there and learn. They want to learn the Bible. They want to essentially learn the story so they can be a part of the play. And it's really learning to kind of accept people and really to help bring people to the truth where they are. Perhaps Hollywood has just spent so much time over the last couple of decades now selling itself out to international markets such as China and Saudi Arabia and France that they really just don't care any much about the domestic market anymore. And as a result, they're completely out of touch with what viewers actually want. Viewers want movies like Jingle All the Way. They want more of the Santa Clauses. They want things that I guess nowadays you would be considered Hallmark movies, right? But this is what people actually look for during this time of the day. No one's looking for Jack Black as Satan. No one wants that. No one wants, Krampus movies. Nobody wants movies about, adultery and debauchery and stuff, especially during Christmas. This is not the time period that people want to consume this stuff. But when your Hollywood industry, your domestic film industry is so misaligned with what the audience actually want, maybe this is exactly why we're in the situation that we're in right now.